This gospel brings us to the core of Christian morality, which is all about the heart. It begins with a confrontation between Jesus and some Pharisees and scribes. They criticized Jesus' disciples for not washing their hands before eating and for not observing the ceremonial washing that were part of the Jewish tradition. Now, these traditions and practices weren't bad in themselves. They actually had a good purpose. But Jesus uses this moment to make a deeper point about what truly matters. He isn't saying that his disciples are above the Mosaic law. In fact, in the Gospel of Matthew, he states clearly that he came not to abolish the law but to fulfill it. What he is doing is challenging his critics to see where these priorities are misplaced. He tells them, you set aside God's commandment and hold fast to a mere human tradition. He even quotes the prophet Isaiah by saying, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. From this gospel, we can draw two key lessons. First, it's about getting to the heart of the law. It's our mercy, love, and faithfulness. When we become fixated on rules and rituals that are mainly about outward appearances, like ritual purity, we might look clean on the outside, but our hearts could be filled with judgment and condemnation. What Jesus wants is for us to have hearts that truly love Him with all our mind, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. In everything we do, the guiding question should be, am I doing the most loving thing? Second, Jesus touches on what really makes us clean or unclean. It's not about what we eat or drink or external things. It's about what comes out of the hearts. This is the source of all our actions and words. Evil thoughts, unkindness, theft, violence, and so on. They all originate from within. What defiles us isn't what happens to us from the outside. It's what we harbor and nurture inside in our hearts. So if we plant and nurture good seeds in our hearts, like kindness, patience, and humility, this will eventually show in our behavior and speech. But if we follow things like envy, pride, or resentment to take root, the results will be equally evident. The secret to a good and fulfilling life isn't something that can be imposed from outside. It flows from within. We have the potential to generate love, joy, and peace from the goodness that lives in our hearts. We are not powerless in this. We can choose how to think, speak, and act. Think of Saint Teresa of Calcutta, who lived among poverty, illness, and suffering, surrounded by conditions that were anything but clean by worldly standards. Yet she never allowed herself to be defiled by what was around her. Instead, she chose to be a source of love, mercy, and hope for everyone she encountered. So, let's continue to honor the traditions and practices of our church. But let's never forget what is important. To love God with all our heart and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Let's ask God to help us draw goodness from our hearts and to renew us through repentance, cleansing any defilement that might have settled there.